What did they respond to you? They were leaving or they don't?
No, the whole.
Yep. What's yours talk about?
The history of wildlife. And all that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's special call city council meeting on this Monday, August the 19th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Ms. Derry, would you call the roll for us, please?
Sure. AC Brown,
Here.
Ralph Maker.
Here.
Tim Terry's absent. Roger Rainwater.
Here.
Rod Powell is absent and Steve Tedford is absent. So we do have a quorum with the addition of the mayor.
Thank you. I think, appreciate gentlemen coming on short notice, especially, but we had so we have 2 items on the agenda tonight. First one is an ordinance repealing, replacing ordinance number 12-11, authorizing mayor to waive permit fees by emergency passage. Brief synopsis, I guess, of what's going on. As you know, we had storm come through this week, last week, whatever it was, and a lot of Friday night, yeah, and a lot of tree damage for sure, but also a lot of privacy fence damage to where I immediately thought we need to do, or I would like to do our best to not ignore permits, but certainly be able to waive fees if we could for those folks that have these issues with their privacy fence. I was reminded, as I should be reminded, that I can't just do that per ordinance that we have in place on my own without council. So that was my goal tonight, is to present this to you and present. Charlotte was very helpful today, and not just helpful, wrote an ordinance and to suggest these things to you. So I think you have one that's changed. The highlights or changes were made, but we can go through it. It's
Well,
pretty,
actually, I mean, it's so revamped.
yeah,
that
it totally from the original. Yes.
yeah, those highlights I took off because that was just internal
Okay.
to show y'all what change I made when we were
Yep.
bouncing it back and forth internally.
So, and I will say this publicly, and I mean it. Our building inspector Hunter posted immediately after the storm the guidelines in our ordinance, which I appreciate him being on top of that. What it also kind of started was everybody complaining that we're going to charge fees, which I got that too. But I do appreciate the fact that he was doing his job and posted this thing. It stirred up a lot of emotions within the city, and I want to try to do the best we can. As Sonny and I always say to each other, we are still Greenwood, so we want to do the best we can for the folks that are having issues and having to pay for fencing repairs and a replacement, because it's very, very expensive. I know this for a fact. So there's the ordinance. Questions, comments, whatever you may have, we'll address those.
So we're not doing anything to the fencing ordinance. We're just doing this to this ordinance here.
That's correct.
That kind of covers all applications that have a fee or something associated with them.
Yeah, it goes, there's a little specifics. I've got too many papers up here for some reason. There are, there's the definitions. Section 4, for instance, state and federal projects, talks about waiving permits there that would benefit the city. Residential, commercial repairs. It's not specific to fences, because I feel like there's other issues that we address at the same time. So, but it does cover fences within the parameters of it.
The section 3 is the applicability of it. So
Yeah.
Section 3 would tell you what the ordinance really covers.
Yep.
Well,
Applies to.
I guess why couldn't you have done it with the existing 1211?
The way I read it, the way Miss Derry read it, it does not allow me to do that. It only, I'm looking back at it right now. It only talks about county. I can do that for the county, any partnership we have with the county, but not, for instance, the fence.
And it did say that you're authorized to waive them for demolition within the
Yeah.
city limits due to catastrophic events.
And so our joined thoughts on this, that is, taking down a fence is not necessarily demolition. It's more buildings. Am I correct, Hunter? As much as some of the public would have thought that I could have, I absolutely looked at it with advice from within, and that's who I like to seek advice from people that are around me, that no, that's not something I can just waive. So
Does the landowner have to provide evidence?
yes,
Pictures?
I don't know about pictures.
Section 7 is the administrative procedure.
There you go.
And
Or
that section 8 is there's still a permit required.
So Hunter, in reality, he's still going to go they're going to have to get a permit, right? We're not waiving the idea that you don't have a permit. We're waiving the fee for a weather-related issue, if you will. He's still going to go inspect, make sure it's done correctly, and all those things are still in place.
So this would count not just for wind, tornado, flood, but lightning damage.
Sir?
Lightning damage would include that. I mean, anything that's,
Mother Nature.
yeah, somebody's house gets struck by lightning, and is that their air conditioner or their HVC unit? We're gonna, that's what I'm saying. How do you document that? I mean, you're still gonna have to get a
Definitions.
permit, but we're not gonna charge them. And I'm fine with that, but I mean, I don't want somebody just saying, hey,
Yeah.
my AC went out.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think unfortunately or fortunately, some common sense is going to have to take place here with, was it a weather related? Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
A weather related, you could strike Roger Rainwater's house and not mine.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The natural disaster definition defines it as something that's widespread throughout a location. So it wouldn't just be one particular instance. I mean, if a dead limb fell out of a tree and landed on someone's fence, it's a natural tree.
And-
It's a disaster to them, but I don't think that fits the definition of a natural disaster.
And it says, thank you, it says widespread damage within the city. I mean, if there, so maybe your point, if
Well,
there's,
a few years ago, I mean.
if there's
we-
10
we had a-
HVACs,
I don't know what it was, some kind of electric substation went out. and
Right.
zapped everybody's
right?
electronics in their house. So, I mean, I'm just saying, we just have to be careful there. There's some
Yeah.
gray.
And,
area, I
and
think.
this will be, I think we also have in here that I do a memo on these and present it and then show, obviously tell the council what's been done. I don't want this to be, and maybe it's not the best way to put it, but this just needs to be, we're still Greenwood, Arkansas. We need to help people in trouble or in need of assistance, and slapping I know it's only $25 depending on the fence, I guess. That's the last thing they need to hear or see, is that we're charging them to fix what they got to fix.
Because we already got enough damage.
Yeah. And obviously a lot of people have insurance, and then there's a lot of people that don't.
So the definitions
If we,
cover what we're talking about here, that this ordinance applies to only those situations defined.
Right. I mean, I guess I could kind of see what Ralph is saying, if it's something that was kind of a widespread thing, but it wasn't, I don't know if it's necessarily a natural disaster. I mean, I don't know if a squirrel could have got on there, or it could have been a tree limb that, that took out that substation, and stuff. But I didn't know if you could kind of expand that to, again, where you said, the mayor, has to use his judgment, and stuff in that situation to say that it is kind of widespread and stuff.
And of course, this only applies to permitting, not covering the restoration of people's
Right. Just the permit. That's right. So that's what I'm saying, it's,
permit fees.
if it was, again, in that instance there where it said it, I guess you're right. They, might not affect the electronics, in their houses, it's not affecting anything, of a physical nature, like saying fence
yeah,
or,
they're not going to require a fee or a
Yeah.
permit to take care of electronics or.
yeah.
I do want to point something out in full transparency. If I feel compelled that you need to know this because it wasn't in here before, but
Oh, yeah.
section 4 and 5 at the very end, I mean, that is up to council, of course, to keep that in or not.
Yeah.
But since this ordinance covers waiving of fees, we thought we would include the whole gamut where situations arise for that. Just to be thorough.
Right.
You're talking about county projects and state and federal projects.
Mhm.
The county is in the other one, but yes, the state and federal, yeah.
I don't know
And then number
what
5.
examples would that be? If you went through examples of those kinds of projects, would
Yeah.
it mean like the bypass?
But it more or less states it up there in the title of the ordinance that we could waive such things.
Yeah.
Which that sounds,
If any work needed to be done on the post office, the federal building, probably the two costs for waiving permit fees is justified.
Yeah.
That or any state buildings.
And the governor would probably,
Mhm.
I don't know if the state.
Step
revenue
in.
office would apply. Those are the
Or
other-
the library out there at the new library, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Courthouse, yeah. I make a motion that we adopt the ordinance by title only.
Put
Second.
it on first reading by title only.
First reading by title only.
Second.
All right. Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Meeker,
Yes.
Mayor Kinslow,
yes.
Mr. Rainwater,
Yes.
unanimous. An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 12-11, authorizing the mayor to waive permit fees for county, state, or federal projects within the city limits and for residential and commercial repairs related to natural disasters, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Now, I understand we can't pass this under emergency. Even though it, okay,
That's correct.
because, explain why.
The mayor cannot vote to enact an emergency clause.
Okay,
And we
gotcha.
would not have a majority without his vote.
So, but we can waive the first and second
Readings.
readings and adopt the ordinance,
Or the
but it
second
would
and
be
third
30
readings.
days until it's effective.
Or our next meeting. Or yeah,
It'd be 30 days till it's effective. Okay, just making sure that everybody understands that.
Make a motion, we waive the second and third readings.
Second.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Meeker,
Yes.
Mayor Kinslow,
Yes.
Mr. Rainwater,
Yes.
it's unanimous. You can make motions. I don't-
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
A motion and second to adopt.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Meeker,
Yes.
Mayor Kinslow,
Yes.
Mr. Rainwater,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
Can we put this on the agenda for our next council meeting to adopt the emergency clause section? I mean, because right now we'll have to wait 30 days if we don't. But the next city council meeting is what?
2 weeks.
So that would,
Well, that will still work.
We can do that.
Okay.
I
So
think
cut
so.
out
I think
those
Labor
other
Day,
2
you're
weeks
right.
if
Yeah.
possible.
I will place it on that agenda.
way it speed things up.
Yep. Which will take some explaining to the public, but it's, at least we're working on it. And so appreciate,
And it
And
does
it'll be
include the
faster.
30-day window, so it would be a line of people still within the 30-day window.
Yep.
Required to come report and you do your waiting.
It'll get done faster doing it that way
Right.
than waiting 30 days.
right. Did we vote? Did that-
Yeah, it's
are we
done.
good? It's done?
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it very much. I know the public will appreciate it. Next item is planning and building, rezoning, ordinance rezoning from R1 to R2, a parcel located at 206 Gum Street. Emergency
Mayor
pass.
Council, This request is for a rezone from R1 to R2 for a parcel located at 206 Gum Street. Back in May, the planning commission and board of adjustment reviewed this and approved the rezoning for this duplex. Normally, after the board of adjustment approves this, it gets on the next month's council agenda. Well, the next month's council was a night that my wife had surgery that day, and I guess I asked Charlie not to put it off for that reading for that reason. But anyhow, it fell through the cracks, so we're trying to correct it tonight. Again, the board of adjustments approved it. It's the parcel at 206 Gum Street had was it a manufactured home or a trailer? On there, they took it down and they're ready to build the duplex. And when they came in to get the permit, Hunter noticed that it hadn't gone through the council. And so that's the reason for being here tonight. The gentleman contacted Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown asked to have this put on the agenda. Again, we're asking for an emergency clause, but since we don't have the number of people, we'll have to do this the same way we just did the other one. And that is to eliminate second reading and then come back at the next council meeting and pass the emergency clause if you approve.
Sonny, what is R5? What is that definition again?
R5 is for multiple different buildings in a certain area. This is an R2. This just means that this is a multi-family.
So were we trying to change from R1 to R5 in places where it's like a, I mean, I thought we were trying to do that. Was it on really like high traffic areas? Is that where?
Chapter 1 is an R2. In the minutes, we discussed R5, and we said this met all the criteria of the R5, but the property owner just wanted to go to an R2, and the Board of Adjustment looked at it and says, okay, we will go with an R2 here because there's other R2s in that area.
Okay. And what, and he's just going to build a duplex there, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was posted publicly, the neighbors, that I talked to were in agreement with it. We had one gentleman that says, hey, while they're tearing this down, I can't get down my road, and they made all the adjustments so that was cleared up, and, so they're ready to go. And, again, we're trying to, fix a mistake.
Did they provide I guess, an elevation and a kind of
I don't think
artist
there's
drawing or?
information on it yet.
They did, that they were missing a few sets out of the blueprints, and I gave them back to them to go finish the revisions necessary. I did not retain a copy. My apologies.
All right, I just,
It did not have garages. It was just a standard duplex, split entrance on either side, had single family characteristics on the front. Nothing more really to explain about it. I think it had a brick wainscot. I'm holding to that.
It was a better replacement for what was there.
okay.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the ordinance by title only, first reading.
Second,
Have a motion second to adopt.
Third on first, reading by title only.
Right. Yes, sorry.
Mr. Brown?
yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mayor Kinslow?
Yes.
Mr. Rainwater?
Yes.
It's unanimous. An ordinance amending ordinance number 23-10 for the purpose of rezoning certain property in the city of Greenwood, amending the official zoning map of the city of Greenwood, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Make a motion that we waive the second and third reading.
Second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mayor Kinslow?
Yes.
Mr. Rainwater?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Make a motion, we adopt.
Second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Meeker?
Yes.
Mayor Kinslow?
Yes.
Mr. Rainwater?
Yes.
It's unanimous. Unanimous.
That's what?
Unanimous.
Please put this on the agenda for the next council meeting.
I will do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your attendance. I appreciate your willingness to take care of these issues as they come up. Thank you very, very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Adjourn.
Or adjourn. Thank you. Thank you all.
Or as they say, I'm trying to finish cleaning up my house from the storms and everything.
Tell you what, I got